Hello, my beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous listeners. Welcome back to another episode of Wellness Blueprints. I'm Jess Milner, and I'm so glad you're here to nourish your roots with me. I am a functional bloodwork specialist, a master nutritionist, and a quantum energy healer. And here we are in October. I have a beautiful autumn day here. And I want to talk about this is really, it's a shadow season. And I want to talk about nourishing the parts of ourselves that we have a tendency to hide. We have fall. It's called fall because the leaves are falling down, but it's also about letting go of these masks and these pieces of ourselves. And we talked about this before, but emotions tend to kind of bubble up sometimes this time of year because there's things going on that's wanting us to retreat. And we sometimes have a tendency to push those down because, like, I got other stuff to do, so I can't deal with this, right? But what if the feelings, what if those emotions that you've been avoiding are actually the ones that are trying to heal you? So, here we are. Welcome to shadow season. And, it's like when the veil thins, the emotions rise, and your soul wants to be seen. So, we're moving into these darker months, right? So, and like longer nights, shorter days as it's getting there, like every day the sun is going down a little bit earlier, right? And nature mirrors our inner worlds. That's, nature does that. We really are one with nature, and we fight it so bad with all of our technology and all of our schedules and everything. But it reflects our inner world. It's just what, everything out there, like the earth does provide the things that we need. Sometimes we got to put in some effort. If you are a farmer, So, but the earth retreats, the earth is, it's coming inward. And, we're invited to slow down this time of year too. And we're supposed to, after you get, if a homesteader or a farmer, you're out there, you're getting all your harvest stuff together, you're really getting all your stuff ready so that you can truly rest as the winter comes in. So this is a time of reflection. It's a time of preparation. And it is that time to start to feel it inside of you. Like, all right, it's time to take a look inward. It's time to slow down. When we're busy in the summer and everything, we're not taking quite as much of that time because all those other things are going on. But this is the time where we need to really stop fighting these things. So the shadow, this can be kind of controversial with some people, but the shadow, it's really just parts of you that are unseen, that you push down. It's parts of you that you hide, that you mask. They're suppressed. And that's what I work with emotion code. What is it? It's suppressed emotions. It's things that you were just like, I can't feel that right now. And normally we don't have good emotions stuck like that because when we feel good emotions, we're like, "Ah, I love this, I'm gonna feel this all the time, woo." But bad emotions, negative emotions that make us feel ucky, we're like, I don't like it. Okay. And this is a normal thing. It's not like, I'm not telling you you did anything wrong. This is what we do, but these are these parts of ourselves that are suppressed. So like anger and jealousy, grief. Oh my gosh, grief. And sometimes even our desires, we just push them right down and we're just like, oh, forget it. Who cares what I want? Because I got to do all this other stuff. Right. So we want to nourish these things instead of just like fighting them and telling them, get back in your hole. No, 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 no. It's okay. Like we can acknowledge these things and we're going to nourish them this time of year. We nourish them with food, with warmth, with compassion, and with presence, just going, hey, I observe that exists, instead of just saying like, no, you're not here. I don't like you, talking to your emotions, like, ooh, that sounds like a fun skit. I should do that. Coming up soon on your TikTok and Instagram, right? Okay. So I mentioned, it's got, nature mirrors us, it's reflective of what, so we are doing that. So fall, we have this, introspection. It's a time of grounding and contraction, and like I said, we're getting shorter days, longer nights, and that does energetically call us inward. Okay. In traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, they've mapped out all of the meridians and everything in fall. Everything is connected, and they have connected the seasons as well. Oh my gosh, I mean, we could talk about that for hours and hours and hours. But the fall, the autumn, according to TCM, is connected to your large intestine and your lungs, which, both of those organs are detox organs, not just any detox. You've got there's several different detox organs. You've got your skin and your liver and your kidneys and your lymphatic system. You've got lots of stuff, but your lungs and your large intestine are your biggest ones. And actually, I mean, we exhale more toxins than we do out the potty. So, these are really, really big detox organs. So it's no mistake that that connection was made there. Okay. That's nature being in alignment right there. So, hey, here we go. So I mean, you can feel it kind of coming in, and I think that some of the time, this is why we get a little sad this time of year. I mean, yeah, because we're not getting the vitamin D and the sunlight and everything, and that's absolutely valid, and that seasonal depression is a totally valid thing. But some of the time, it's just because we are fighting against these natural things and it's not because you're trying to, you got all this other crap to do, and so you're not thinking about it, because we have been led away from being aligned with our inner world, our outer world. We have been led away from making sure that we feel aligned with what the hell's going on outside of us, because we need to like fit a schedule or finish a task or whatever it is. So here we go into this shadow season. And let's talk, the shadow, this, like I said, this is not something to be scared of. It's not an evil thing. Okay. You're not chasing like a negative entity around or anything. Although sometimes when you move energy around, it can feel like an entity is leaving your body. And that's okay. Move that energy on out of there. But this is just, your unexpressed self, your unintegrated self. So like, if you people please to avoid like conflict or rejection, you just say, okay, yeah, because if you share your opinion on it, you're going to be rejected, have to argue. So, you just kind of like recoil back. And or sometimes you stay busy to avoid sadness. This happens a lot with grief. You're like, okay, well, if I keep myself busy, then I don't have time to sit there and think about all the things. But it's not even that you're thinking about the things, it's just sitting there and feeling the pain, because that sucks. So we avoid that on purpose. That would be a part of your unexpressed self. And of course, anger. Those people out there who are like, oh, good vibes only, blah, blah, blah. Everything's always happy, and like no negativity is allowed near them. And like as a general rule, like that's kind of like my rule for like my social media pages, as much, because I'm just like, listen, I don't want to argue with you. Like, leave me alone. But people who are just like, no, we can never, dude, there's probably so much anger and frustration like pushed down. It's kind of like a serenity now kind of a thing. Like, let's be calm now. Okay, but like, when are you going to deal with this? Because you're like, okay, I'm going to be calm right now, but you're shoving all of this anger and everything down there. And it's like, okay, but like, when are you going to deal with this? And you're like, oh, I have no intention of ever dealing with it. And then here we go. Then we got problems. Okay. So what happens? These shadows, like they show up as triggers. I know, like that's like a huge, like, it's like a buzzword now, like, oh my God, somebody's triggered. But for real, if you feel like, triggered, if you suddenly feel judgment, if you feel fatigue, you're freaking tired all the time, you feel that burnout, that energetic burnout. And it's because your emotional storage is completely full. It's just like, when you have your phone and you're like trying to take a picture or send a message, and it's like, oh no, your storage is full. And actually you can't even like delete any of your pictures because you need more storage just to delete your pictures. So there, that's what your energy centers are doing in there, so you want to clear some of that out. So how do we do that? So we do that. Not like, this is not like okay, well, let me get all of my notes and what am I going to do? Tell me all of the steps. There's not any, this is going to be different for every person. I want you to know you do not have to fix it. Okay. So it's not about fixing your shadow and going, okay, I'm not going to hide that stuff anymore. No, 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 no. That's not what it's about. This isn't about just like, shouting from the rooftops all of your dirty laundry because you feel like you need to let all of that out. No, that's okay. We don't need to do that. Okay. So how are we going to nourish our shadow? So physically, just, we said natural stuff this time of year. We're going to eat warm grounding foods. We're going to have root veggies and squash and bone broth and, all the, soups and all of those wonderful things that really, really just like, it's like a warm hug for you, and they make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. And they actually like open up your circulation and everything, especially when you're adding spices like, cinnamon, clove, ginger, all these things we've been talking about. Check out my Good Mood Foods episode a couple episodes ago. It was like 70 or 71. But those spices, they're going to increase your circulation. They're going to literally, make everything work better in your body and move stagnant energy at the same time. Because remember, these things work together. Like your energetic body and your physical body, not only are they connected, like they are intertwined. So yeah, when you stimulate circulation, you're moving stagnant energy too. And it's moving everything in your lymphatic system as well. So we want to, and we also, this time of year, we naturally increase our healthy fat intake just because a lot of the foods that are traditional this time of year are going to naturally have more healthy fats in them. And that is awesome for mood stability and for your hormones. So especially if you're somebody who suffers from seasonal depression, those healthy fats are going to be super awesome. So, it's nourishing your shadow and it's nourishing your body and it's going to help you be in a better mood. And then energetically, so your shadow, like we were talking about just a moment ago, about moving all of your lymphatic system and everything. So gentle movement, of course, is going to be another amazing one. So stretching, yoga, or just going outside, shake. Let it off of you, like you just go shake it off. But that's going to move stuck energy. It's going to start moving your lymphatic system. So that's going to be good for your immunity too, because of course, what are we also in the middle here? Sugar season, AKA flu season, right? So the more that you can do these things, you're going to find yourself healthier and healthier. So the more you have piled on there, the more, physical and energetic toxins are toxins, right? So you can also, of course, do some emotional release techniques like breath work, of course, emotion code, body code, quantum frequency blueprint. Those are amazing for this. So you can work with me or you can do things on your own. I would let whatever it is, it's your jam. I would love to be your jam, but lots of people can do it just fine with their breath work. Go outside, let yourself cry, or just go cry, go wherever you need to and cry. Go outside and scream. As long as you're not too close to your neighbors or something. Find a good place to go outside and scream. Sometimes it pisses people off, but go out there, let it out. And that's the time when you'll do the ugly cry and a big scream, and you'll be like, I swear, a negative, like an evil entity left my body when that happens. Hey, you moved some energy. Congratulations. How do you feel? You probably feel lighter. Yay. This is good progress. Okay. So as far as energetically speaking, if you're somebody who journals, I'm going to give you a couple of journal prompts here, okay? Just kind of jot down, what emotions am I afraid to feel? Where am I hiding my truth? So, like feel in your body where you feel that being hidden. But here's the thing, you don't have to fix it. Just write down, just imagine, just not imagine, just write down, just be aware of, observe where those things are and what those emotions are. And just leave it with that and go, okay, I'm going to sit with that. I have recognized this. Awesome. Okay. And just put eyes on it more and more every time. Okay. So it's really just that simple. Like, I don't want you going out and going, okay, I did all this and I need to fix it now. Why am I not all better? Because that's not, that's, there are so many spiritual practitioners out there who claim that like their whatever step program is going to like fix all of your emotional problems. I don't subscribe to anything like that because everybody is individual with this. So, and I don't want it to, it's so easy for work like this, especially because most of the people that are going into work like this are doing it because they want to do something to better themselves. And so you might already have a tendency to fall into a perfectionism kind of a thing. And that is one of the things that shadow work is not. It's not about perfectionism. It is about wholeness. It's about alignment. And, it's about acknowledging those parts that we hide, the things that we mask in order to shield ourselves from pain, from judgment, from the grief that we don't want to feel. And, honestly, sometimes our emotions are freaking scary. Okay. They really are scary, but we do not have to fix them. We just need to make space for them and acknowledge that, like, we felt this way or we do feel this way and it's okay to feel this way. It's justified because of these things. And let me just look at that. Okay. Because when you meet your shadows like this with nourishment, then your nervous system feels safe rather than meeting it with shame, because we recognize the things that we keep underneath or that we don't want to say out loud, or we don't want to feel these emotions. And we kind of sit there and go, well, I hide some of these things, or I don't want to feel this pain. And I can't deal with that. And we start to feel shame because we can't, like bring things to the surface and everything. And that's not, we don't want to feel shame because shame is not helping our nervous system. So we want to help the nervous system with the alignment. So just meet it with the nourishment instead. So, maybe nourishment for you would be having something like the Good Mood cocoa latte that I did in my Good Mood Foods a couple weeks ago. I am going to say you can add a little something to that. So I'll go right ahead. You can use whatever milk you want to. You could use like an almond milk, a coconut milk, or cow's milk, warm it up, add in some raw cocoa powder. And then you can put in a pinch of clove, some cinnamon, nutmeg, if you'd like to. Add a little maca in there if you have some of that on hand. And, that will, and then what do you sweeten it with? Honey or maple syrup? I mean, honestly, I would go with either one. It would kind of depend on my mood. So whichever one you want to do, and I like to add a little cayenne in there too. It really is just like a warm hug. And these things, these all of these spices, they are opening up, like we talked about with your circulation. They are so good for your digestion. They are good, they're good for, they're good for your digestion. They're going to be good for detox. Okay. So it's just really just like a wonderful, like warm hug. So you could take that and just sip it, go outside and sip it, or wherever you are, sip it and just kind of feel how your body feels. I mean, if you want to do this with a cup of tea or something instead, that's fine. But, just feel what you're feeling, like where is it in your body that you're feeling something? What happens when you take a sip of this? And just be present and observe the actual things that you're feeling. Not the things that you're thinking about what you felt from yesterday, but the things that you're feeling in that present moment. And take that moment of enjoying that cup to just, just recognize how you feel in that moment. Just be present in that moment. I know that can be really difficult at times because your mind just goes blah, 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 right? So here, okay. I want to do a little energy check-in prompt with this, okay? But so close your eyes, but only if you are able to close your eyes. If you are driving or doing something like that, then come back to this later. Please don't close your eyes while you're driving down the road. But close your eyes. You take a deep breath if you want to, but I want you to think of what emotion has been just quietly asking for your attention lately. Whatever it is, something popping up, or maybe a certain person or a certain event in your life has been coming up and popping into your head. And it's not going to be about the person or the event, but about the way that the feeling that is represented by one of those things. And just kind of like look at that. Okay, what's asking for attention? And then can you offer it a little bit of warmth today? Through breath or movement or a comforting meal, a comforting sip, can you give it something, just a little bit of nourishment? Because you've given it the observation, give it a little tiny bit of nourishment there. And then please comment and let me know if you did that, because I would love to absolutely hear about anything that anybody wants to share with that, because it can really be it can be fun, it can be scary, but it can be pretty cool. So I want to offer you my free daily energy alignment guide, and please share this with your friends as well. So you can go ahead over to go.deeprootedwellnessid.com/daily-energy and download that for free, because I always like to give something like that out. And please share this with a friend. Please leave me a review and don't forget to hit subscribe. And I hope you're enjoying your autumn. And I want you to remember, because this is really the thing, the shadow work, it's not something that you want to fight. It's not something that shouldn't exist. It's not something that we have to push into the closet, skeletons in the closet. We don't need to do that. Okay. Everybody has this. Okay. And it's just the part of you that wants to be seen, heard, and loved. So this time of year, this year, instead of trying to push it back and ignore it, let's nourish it. Have a beautiful autumn day. Thanks, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by. Y'all are gorgeous. Bye for now.